Hello guys, welcome back to a new video on my channel. Since I haven't done a ranking video in a while, I thought why not make one again? I mean, I like making them, so why not? This time I'm gonna rank every plant in Plants vs Zombies 2. And when I say every plant, I don't mean every single plant. Only the plants that you can get during the adventure mode, so no premium plants or seed packet plants. This will be based off how useful the plant is, what value it has based on its abilities, and more. Also, since there are a lot of plants to rank, this list will not be extremely accurate. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. 69. Gold leaf. The gold leaf on itself is not an extremely terrible plant. It can create a gold tile that gives you sun when you plant something on it, which can come in handy sometimes. But here's the deal, for something that only generates a tile, it costs too much. And yes, the gold leaf is only 50 sun, but still. And the gold leaf can't even be used outside of Lost City. And considering you get it really late in Lost City, there's only a really tiny amount of levels you can use this plant in. 68. Hot potato. This plant is low because of the same reasons as gold leaf. It is really handy for melting frozen plants, but outside of that, it can't be used for anything else, or even anywhere else. It doesn't cost anything, which is good, but not good enough to save this plant from being pretty darn bad. 67. Lily pad. Again, this plant is so low on this list because of the same reasons as the last two. It's nice to have this plant in Big Wave Beach, and it's actually the most important plant to have there, but it only has one use and that's it. 66. Grimrose. Do you feel like zombies belong in the ground too? Well, then just use Grimrose and waste 75 sun at the same time. But seriously, who even uses this plant? It is just a waste of sun, to be honest. And I know you can make this plant drag down 3 zombies too, but still, this plant sucks. 65. Sunbeam. You give sun to get sun. Wow, so good. Sunbeam might sound really cool at first, but when you actually learn its power, it is just a really bad plant. Sure, its plant food power is decent, but there's only 2 things this plant is useful for: wasting sun and watching zombies glow. 64. Spring bean. Now, the spring bean used to be a lot more useful in the past because you could have used its plant food power and blubber to wipe out an entire screen full of zombies. But ever since they patched that out, this plant just got useless. It's only a bit useful in Pirate Seas, and when you do use it, it is not the best plant ever because it takes way too long to wake up after bouncing a zombie. 63. EM Peach. EM Peach can be a lifesaver in many cases in the far future, or even modern day. It can buy you extra time to plant some stuff you need, and it can even disable the Gargantua Prime for a while, but that's literally the only thing it's useful for. And because machines pretty much only appear in like 27 or 28 levels, minus the first 9 levels in far future, it's not the most useful plant. 62. Gravebuster. Gravebuster's name is exactly what he does. He destroys graves, and that is actually really handy, especially in the Dark Ages. He doesn't cost any sun, which is a big improvement compared to the first game, even though he does recharge slower. But outside of opening up spaces to plant stuff in, Gravebuster isn't useful for anything else, and graves only appear in a few levels, so yeah. 61. Peashooter. The plant we all know and love. The Peashooter is just the classic plant that we can't dislike. It's a nice starter plant to have. For 100 sun, it can do the job quite well, but really when you've unlocked the Threepeater, this plant is basically useless. 60. Spikeweed. No, not that kind of weed. Spikeweed is a decent plant. I mean, don't get me wrong, Spikeweed can be useful for quickly destroying a barrel, but the damage it does to zombies is pretty pathetic. And we have Spikerock, so yeah. 59. Chili bean. Chili bean is quite a useful plant. It can completely kill a zombie and stun zombies behind the first one. But why is it so low then? Well, that's because a while ago the chili bean was glitched and didn't do anything. And that glitch was for a very long time, which was stupid. Now the glitch is fixed now, but that period in time really made me hate the chili bean. 58. Intensive carrot. For a carrot, this plant is actually not too bad. It can regenerate plants that were eaten by zombies before. But here's the thing, Intensive Care doesn't even regenerate plants fully, only half of the health gets restored, and it costs 100 sun, making it way too expensive sometimes. 57. Perfume-shroom. Are you sick of those dinosaurs? Well, then just use the Perfume-shroom and make a row of dinosaurs work for you. That is actually a really cool thing, and it can be very useful. But unfortunately for this plant, it can only be used in Jurassic Mark, which sucks, and for 150 sun, it is quite expensive. 56. Sunflower. Another plant we all know and love. Sunflower is a plant that deserves to be in every single PvZ game. It simply generates 50 sun for 50 sun, and that is actually really handy for the first few levels. But honestly, when you get the twin sunflower, there is no more reason to use the normal sunflower anymore. 55. Iceberg Lettuce. Just like the EMPs, the Iceberg Lettuce can freeze zombies for a while, and yes, also machines this time too. And its plant food power is pretty insane. Freezing an entire screen of zombies, just like the Ice Room in PvZ1, is extremely useful in some scenarios. But apart from freezing zombies, it's not useful for anything else. 54. Tangle Kelp. Just like Grimrose, this plant can drag down zombies back into the ground, but this time better. See, Grimrose was way too expensive, but Tangle Kelp is at a reasonable cost, and it has a way better plant food power. But unfortunately, it can only be used in the water, which makes sense, but too bad. 53. Endurian. Quite a prickly version of Walnut. To be honest, I don't like this plant. For a plant called Endurian, it is not enduring at all. It can barely take a bite from zombies, and the damage it does to zombies is extremely pathetic. Even the plant food power doesn't make it much better. So yeah, the OG Walnut is still better than this one. 52. Garlic. Thank God we can't smell what this plant smells like, because if those zombies run away for it, then for sure we will. Truth to be told, I never really found this plant useful. I've barely ever used it, even in the first game. The only scenario it's useful for is with a lot of Phat Beets, but for the rest, not really. 51. Split Pea. Threepeater at the back and Peashooter at the front. Name a more iconic duo. Apart from taking down prospector zombies, this plant is just a Peashooter. I've never found it useful for other scenarios, so yeah. 50. Shadow-shroom. Poisoning zombies is always so fun. Shadow-shroom is the perfect plant for that. Poison one zombie or an entire screen full of zombies. It can be helpful against, for example, Jester Zombie when you only brought shooter plants, and that's just one example. Shadow-shroom is useful for a lot of scenarios, but it only has one ability, so yeah. 49. Tall Turnip. Far Future has always been my favorite world, and the fact that you can bring that world into every other world with one plant is very cool. Tall Turnip generates so-called power tiles to be able to use one plant food and affect multiple plants, which is cool. But my god, this plant can get very expensive very quickly. It goes from 0 to 250 instantly and doubles every time you use it, so it gets to 8,000 before you even realize it. 48. Chard Guard. Spring Bean's big brother. This plant is so much better than Spring Bean. For one, it bounces the zombie farther back. 2, it doesn't have to nap in between pauses, or whatever you call them. And 3, it's more worth the cost. The only downside is that it can only bounce 3 times, but a simple shovel and replant fixes that. 47. Magnifying. A lifesaver in many cases. Magnifying can take away buckets from buckethead zombies and even punk zombies' heads, making it quite useful, especially in Neon Mixtape Tour. I guess that's what you get from wearing piercings. 46. Cabbage-pult. And here we have another plant that we all can't hate on. Cabbage-pult's name is exactly what it does. It lobs cabbages at zombies, and the cabbages are actually not too bad. They do pretty much damage compared to most other plants, but the plant food power is what really sells the Cabbage-pult for me. Overall, this is a pretty good plant and definitely worth the 100 sun that it costs. 45. Stalia. Like I said with the Cabbage-pult, the name of the Stalia is exactly what she does. She slows down zombies for a specific amount of time, and if you use plant food power on her, she slows down an entire screen of zombies. 44. Stunion. This is basically the Stalia, but slightly better. Instead of slowing down zombies, he completely stuns them for a while, and he can affect multiple zombies at the same time. So this is basically the Iceberg Lettuce, but better. 43. Blubber. Those pesky balloon zombies need to learn a lesson, and that is what Blubber does. Blubber is one of the most handy plants in this game. I know I've said this before in this video, but man, this plant can be an extreme lifesaver, especially in modern day. And the fact that it's only 50 sun and it recharges really fast is only in its benefit. 42. Puff-shroom. For a free plant, Puff-shroom is actually really versatile. It can be used for simple defense or simple offense, and within a matter of a few minutes, you can just have an entire field of this plant. And finally, the plant food power is amazing. Being able to give one Puff-shroom plant food and activating all of the other Puff-shroom at the same time is incredible. 41. Guacodile. Crocodiles are always scary, and this one is surely no exception. Well, at least for the zombies. Guacodile might seem like an ordinary pea shooter, but I can assure you that it is definitely not. If a zombie gets close to Guacodile, he will attack and bite through the zombie and all of the zombies behind. You can also use plant food power on him to make him release 3 small Guacodiles that surprisingly deal a lot of damage. So overall, Guacodile is actually pretty powerful. 40. Lightning Reed. We've had EM Peach and now we have another electrical plant. One lightning reed on its own is not too good because it doesn't do that much damage, but when you have a few columns of in, he can be extremely powerful. And let's not forget that they can easily take out chicken zombies. That is a big plus for Lightning Reed. 39. Primal Peashooter. We sure have a lot of plants that can bounce back zombies, and this one is by far the best one out of all of them, because it actually does damage to the zombies. I gotta admit, 175 sun for this plant is kind of expensive, and the plant food power is not the best, but you can actually use Blubber with this plant and bounce back all of the zombies. 38. Spikerock. Who needs Spikeweed when you have Spikerock? This plant does a lot more damage than Spikeweed, and he takes up the same amount of space, which means that zombies die quicker. Even though it is more than twice as expensive, it is definitely worth it. 37. Nightshade. And here we have a dark version of Peashooter. Nightshade does a lot of damage to zombies. She can take down a Conehead zombie in like 4 or 5 shots, which is pretty insane. And her plant food power makes her extremely strong. The only thing I don't like about her is that she takes a pretty long time to regenerate leaves. 36. Thyme Warp. Do you like teleporting? Then this plant is for you. Thyme Warp can bring back every single zombie on a screen back to the right side of the field. And just that ability is definitely worth the 75 sun that this plant costs. The only thing that I don't like is that it can only be used in one world and that it regenerates some of zombies' health, which is kind of dumb, but fine. 35. Kernel-pult. First we had Cabbage-pult and now we have Kernel-pult. They sure love the vegetables, right? Kernel-pult throws, well, kernels and sometimes butter that can stun zombies for a while. And that doesn't sound too bad, apart from the fact that the kernels deal like no damage at all. Don't get me wrong, the butter can save your life, but otherwise this plant isn't very useful. 34. Bok choy. Real life boxing is nothing compared to this. Bok choy does a lot of damage in a really short amount of time, and that makes him really worth the sun. And his plant food power is insane. He deals so much damage to a lot of zombies in the 3x3 area. 33. Primal Sunflower. And Sunflower, but then better. Instead of 50 sun, Primal Sunflower gives you 75 sun, and that immediately makes it better than the OG Sunflower. That is pretty much all I have to say, so let's move on. 32. Pepper-pult. Am I the only one thinks that all of the catapult plants are modeled after vegetables? Whatever. Pepper-pult throws peppers at zombies and deals quite a lot of damage. And he can melt frozen plants just like hot pepper, making him a pretty useful plant. 31. Phat Beet. Phat Beet on his own is not that good. He doesn't deal that much damage. Pardon me. But pair him up with garlic and you've got a great team. Phat Beet isn't really impactful to your collection, but it's nice to have, and there are quite some strategies to use him with. 30. Bloomerang. What a creative name. Bloomerang throws boomerangs that can hit up to 3 zombies, which is quite good. and the boomerangs deal pretty much damage, but the plant food power is quite useless, and for the rest, the Bloomerang isn't really spectacular at all. 29. Perfume-shroom. Bloomerang, but then without any solid projectiles. Perfume-shroom is extremely essential for fighting jester zombies. I mean, you do have plants like Magnifying Grass that can fight them too, but this plant is the first plant you get for them. It does cost 50 more sun than in the first game, but it does have a pretty darn amazing plant food power, so yeah. 28. Tall Nut. The name is very accurate. He is a very tall nut. He can block balloon zombies and imps thrown by the zombie bull, making him quite useful. For the rest, he is pretty much just a stronger walnut. 27. Walnut. Wait, what? The normal walnut is better than a tall nut? Yep, let me explain. So the walnut costs 50 sun and has 4000 hit points. The tall nut costs 125 sun but only has twice the amount of hit points, 8000. So that means that the tall nut is actually weaker than two walnuts together. And that's pretty much the reason why walnut is better than tall nut. 26. Potato Mine. By far the best starter plant. This plant is probably the most used plant in most levels. Potato Mine is just so useful. Quickly being able to take down a small group of zombies with only 25 sun is amazing. 25. Moonflower. Does this plant give moons? No, just sun, but that's okay. Moonflowers can give 25 sun, or 50 sun if you place two of them next to each other, or even 100 sun if you create a square of them. And let's not forget about the shadow power which moonflowers can generate shadow fields with. That makes it so much better than the OG sunflower. 24. Bowling Bulb. Do you miss the bowling minigame from the first game? Well, the bowling bulb compensates for that, at least a little bit. Bowling Bulb rolls 3 different projectiles towards the zombies in a row, which can bounce from zombie to zombie. And the plant food power is, well, pretty darn insane. Those electric bulb deal a lot of damage. 23. Red Stinger. This plant sure stings because it deals a pretty big amount of damage. And having 3 types of offense/defense thingies the further you plant it is really cool. 22. Laser Beam. Laser Beam is like Perfume-shroom but better. It deals more damage and it has a further range. It does cost more sun, but it is definitely worth it. And the plant food power is damn incredible. Being able to take out an entire lane of zombies instantly is beyond epic. 21. Celery Stalker. A combination of bok choy and potato mine, and a really nice one. Celery Stalker stays hidden in the ground until a zombie passes him. Then he erupts from the ground and attacks the zombie at rapid speed. 20. Pea Pod. At first, Pea Pod might look like a tiny pea shooter inside a shell, but trust me, it isn't. Not even close. You can plant 5 pea pods inside the shell to get 5 times the power of a pea shooter in just one tile. 19. Twin Sunflower. 2 sunflowers in one. Twin Sunflower is a really good source for sun. In total, it actually costs less than in the first game, which is nice, and giving it plant food gives you a lot of sun. When you get this plant, say goodbye to the normal sunflower. 18. Spore-shroom. This is pretty much a cheaper version of the Primal Sunflower, only it takes some time to reach its final stage. Or if you're impatient, just use the plant food on it and you get free sun together with the plant fully growing. This plant is by far the best sun generating plant out of all of them. 17. Citron. Citron is a very simple plant. He sucks in air to make a plasma ball and then he spits it out at a zombie, dealing a really big amount of damage. He does take a pretty long time to charge up, but the waiting is more than worth it. 16. Threepeater. Is the repeater not good enough for you? Well, then try out this plant. Threepeater shoots down 1 pea in the lane it's in, the lane above it, and the lane below it. And that for only 300 sun. Well, at least it costs less than in the first game. 15. AKEE. Kind of like Bowling Bulb, AKEE can hit multiple zombies in a row, but then in one lane. He shoots one seed at a zombie and can hit a zombie until the distance is too far away. You can also use plant food on him to release giant seeds that hit every zombie on screen. 14. Rotobaga, one of the most strategic plants in the game. I have no idea how to say that word, but whatever. Rotobaga shoots in an X form, targeting every lane but the one she's in herself. If you have a few columns of Rotobaga, you're basically set. It's gonna be a mess of projectiles. 13. Repeater. Yeah, that's right. The Repeater is better than the Threepeater, at least in my opinion. See, Threepeater shoots 1 pea in 3 lanes for 300 sun, but Repeater shoots 2 peas in 1 lane for 200 sun. And I think that it makes Repeater a little bit more useful. 12. Spore-shroom, the best free mushroom plant in the game. Spore-shroom launches projectiles that can damage zombies, of course, but here's the deal. If that projectile kills the zombie, then it will generate a Spore-shroom clone on the spot that the zombie was killed. Quite a nifty trick you got there, mate. 11. Infinite. Infinite is a holographic version of the Wall-nut, and that actually sounds stupid because holograms are always penetrable. Infinite is also kind of, and he really doesn't have that much health, but the plant food power is what puts him so high on this list. This power comes in handy so much during your adventure. So yeah, this plant is just so good. 10. Primal Wall-nut, the best walnut in the game. Primal Wall-nut is insanely good. It costs 75 sun, which is pretty much, but the recharge time definitely makes up for it. And Gargantuars can actually smash this walnut more than once before it's completely broken. So yeah, Primal Wall-nut is definitely the best one. 9. Coconut Cannon. Launch a coconut and deal a deadly amount of damage. Who thought coconuts could deal so much damage? Well, not me, but it's possible. For 400 sun, this plant is a little expensive, but the damage it does plus the plant food power is really good. 8. Melon-pult. Cabbage-pult and Kernel-pult are nothing compared to this feller. Melon-pult throws giant watermelons that deal a lot of damage. You can also launch a gigantic load of watermelons that fall down on zombies. Melon-pult is just really powerful. 7. Banana Launcher. Remember Cob Cannon? Well, this plant is basically that, but with bananas, a smaller radius, and the bananas also deal less damage. He does take up less space, which is neat. That's pretty much all I need to say for this one. 6. Snapdragon. A dragon in a Plants vs Zombies game? Well, yeah, Snapdragon can spit out a wall of fire covering 3 rows. Sounds pretty easy, but trust me when I say that its plant food power is absolutely insane. It can basically kill off every single zombie with those flames, apart from Gargantuars of course. 5. Dusk Lobber. A really OP plant, let's be honest. Dusk Lobber lobs explosive buds at zombies that deal pretty much damage and splash damage. I absolutely love this plant. Once I get her, I can't let go of her anymore. Wow, that sounds weird. The plant food power is also really good. She launches 4 giant buds which explodes and do a lot of splash damage. Do I need to say more? I don't think so. 4. Wintermelon. Melon-pult, but better because of one reason. It slows down zombies with its projectiles. It does cost much more, but the extra price is more than worth it. 3. Cherry Bomb. Who thought that cherries could be so explosive? Cherry Bomb is easily one of the most powerful and necessary plants in the whole game. For 150 sun, you get a lot of value. Being able to blow up a 3x3 area of zombies and possibly kill tens of zombies is awesome. 2. Primal Potato Mine. Once I get this plant, I basically use it at every single level going forward. This plant is OP as hell. For 50 sun, you get value for 500 sun. Plant it down, wait 5 seconds, and then you can blow up what Cherry Bomb can. Like seriously, this plant is so overpowered. And number 1 is Magnifying Grass. Talking about overpowered, Magnifying Grass is the best plant for a reason. He only costs 50 sun, excluding the sun needed for shots, and those shots deal a lot of damage. You can take down even the biggest zombies in less than 2 seconds. That is what makes this plant the best one by far. Anyway, that was this video guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It took a really really long time to make this video, and I think the video itself is also pretty long, but hey, having 69 plants to rank isn't really that easy to do, and you know, short, you know, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you will like this because, well, I put a lot of effort into it. If you did like it, maybe you can also consider subscribing to this channel as well, if you want to see more content, of course. Anyway, that was this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.